Hello everyone. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Three of Swords and how it's manifested in my life and how can the Three of Swords apply in real life and come to life in real life. This card, I wanted to talk about this particular card because it has been very significant for me in the first quarter of this year. A lot of strange things happened with this card. It kept coming up. And I know that, sometimes we have a card in a particular season that repeats itself and it keeps coming up. So for me, the Three of Swords was continually coming up from January all the way until now recently, in April. So, and I've seen it manifest in just like really obviously not so positive ways. And I wanted to talk about it and just kind of relate my experiences with it and then talk a little bit of astrology and, just for those that are learning tarot, they can kind of get a little bit of insight about how the Three of Swords can apply in real life. The Three of Swords, and I feel like any card has a traditional meaning, right? A book meaning, but it's amazing how it can come through in so many different ways. Traditionally, the Three of Swords is usually a triangular relationship. Usually this card is seen in like a third party relationship kind of thing. So that's kind of the traditional meaning to this card. It's more of like, if you do a reading for a relationship and you see this card, it can be that either of the parties involved are, cheating on each other or they're having an affair. Or it can also be a third person getting involved, like a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, a brother-in-law. Someone is kind of in the way. So I don't just see this card as typically that may mean that, okay? Typically in a reading, it may mean it, but not necessarily. For me, this card came out to play, and I'm going to kind of go over a couple of things. And first of all, this card, I pulled 4 different types of decks out, and I pulled the Three of Swords out of each deck. And I have the Empress card in the bottom because the Empress is connected to this number. It's the third card of the minor suit, and so 3 in the major arcana is the Empress. So I'm going to go in a little bit into how the Empress plays a role in the Three of Swords, okay? And so in this first card, we have the deck of the Green Witch Tarot, and I really like this depiction of this deck because you can see how this woman is coming upon a door, and she is just gotten to her home, and it's amazing because you can tell that she's just gotten into the house, or she's going to go in the house, but it appears like her house has been robbed or her house has been broken into, or something has happened where the door is open and she's just like feeling so like in shock and so amazed by what is behind that door. And it's like, it's interesting because we have like a little lamp in the entrance, like lighting the way, like, okay, this is the reality of the situation. So it's like she's finally coming to see the reality of the situation. I love this deck. I really love the Green Witch Tarot because the Green Witch Tarot has a lot of symbolism, and I'm really into the decks that are very full and rich on symbolism. It doesn't have to be, I really don't mind too much. I mean, I really like the Rider-Waite system, but I'm not really a stickler for it. If the deck is going in a different direction, but it has rich symbolism, I love it because I can see other things and I can read beyond. I'm a very intuitive, visual type of reader, so I read a lot by symbolism and of course my intuition as well. So in this card you can see that there is a lamp in the entrance, so there's some light here. It's like something finally illuminates here. The other thing that I find interesting is the little duck or swan. here. It's more of a swan to me. The swans to me are representations of beauty. And they tend to be beautiful animals. They are very beautiful. But in this particular card, it is a painful card. It's a card of sorrow. It's a card mainly of betrayal. So there's someone that's betraying us when we see this card. Someone is not being honest, or there's something that's not going to go well. And the swan here is saying that it may appear to be beautiful, whatever it is. It may be very appealing, but at the end of the day, it's not. It's not what it looks like. It doesn't. It's like something. It's beyond. It's beyond what we think. Okay, so it goes beyond the physical. Okay, so whatever appears to be good really isn't. Okay, so this card is, you can tell the energy of it, of how she just is like so depressed, so like in a shock. This next depiction of the Three of Swords to me is very interesting. This is from the Night Sun Tarot, and we have a heart in the center, and it's pierced with the heart, it's like really, really visual. And you can see the sword is piercing straight at it, straight down, straight forward, the heart, and the heart is bleeding. And these other people here they look like they're blindfolded. Yeah, they're all kind of blindfolded. They're two men, and they're holding these swords upwards. So they're holding it in protection. However, this third sword has come in the center and is piercing this heart, and it's bleeding. Again, it's a card of pain. It's showing pain. It's showing some sort of sorrow. Okay. And the yellow to me, the yellow in the background to me is a representation of illumination. Has a lot to do with the solar plexus, which is all about the ego. Here we have the Three of Swords. This is the one that I feel mostly connected to, because this deck, the Lumina Tarot, is one of my home decks. I really connect with this deck a lot. I have a strong connection with it. So I worked a lot with this deck in the beginning, like in the ending and the beginning of the year. So, like winterish, I was really working with this deck for myself and for clients. And this Three of Swords would keep coming up. Like for myself, when I would shuffle, it would just jump out, and it would jump out, and it was like constant. How I saw it manifest in my life. First, I can see that there has been 3 things that have gone wrong for me in this last quarter. So obviously the 3 was very symbolic. It was very, very literal. The 3. I saw 3 things that didn't go well. 3 different situations. Okay. I'm not going to go over that because it's personal, but 3 different things, right? So that's interesting to me, the 3. The other thing I saw with this card was, it kind of like I felt this card played a role with people doing, or persons or individuals doing things underhanded, like behind the scenes, underneath the table. So I saw that play a role in my life. And so this Three of Swords really came through like that. Like, you know, I felt like in these months that were the first quarter, I saw the reason why it was coming up so much for me, I feel, was that there was something that wasn't what I thought it was. This card can represent miscarriage as well. It can represent a miscarriage coming to someone in your family, someone in your circle. So that I saw happen in my circle, which was amazing. It was like how literal, how shocking, how it's amazing how clear the messages were trying to come. But sometimes we're so like blinded by the traditional meaning that we don't see beyond. But this card can represent miscarriage, and it did come through in that fashion as well. I saw it play in my life, and I saw that happen in my circle. So, you know, this card is also a card of a lot of conflict. I saw it play a lot in my life in conflict. and people like constantly trying to bring conflict in my life, you know. Also, this card to me can represent, and I feel like it plays a role in jealousy or envy. Jealousy or envy, like someone that's very, very bitter against you and is trying to, you know, trying to send you bad energy, or is trying to misconstrue your image, make you look bad. Okay, so I saw that play out as well in that sense, in personal life. Nothing to do with business. It was more it was in personal life. And you know, in it traditionally you would see this card, like I said before, as a love betrayal, but not at all. It played like that in my life. Thank God. Knock on wood. You know, it didn't. It was more in the lines of betrayal in associations with other people, businesses, like I said, miscarriage. And that's why I wanted to talk about the Empress, because the Empress is coming to play here, because it's a third number. 3 is about creation. 3 is about, it could represent creation and creativity. So it is representing the energy of motherhood. Okay, so obviously the motherhood energy did come through. We saw that person, you know, the situation that I mentioned with the miscarriage. Now, another thing I want to add a tidbit about Kabbalah, and a tidbit about, because I was kind of researching more of this card in my book of tarot and astrology, because I'm really starting to learn more and trying to learn more about astrology, because it's fascinating to me. And this card it's in the Kabbalah of the Tree of Life. It is the third sphere, and the third sphere of understanding, okay? Because the third sphere of understanding is Binah, or Binah, I hope I pronounce it correctly. So it's Binah, and that sphere is all about understanding. It's the womb, okay? It's kind of like the womb. It's a vessel of creation, but the planet, in terms of astrology, that's affecting this card is the Saturn energy. And Saturn, as we know, those that are into astrology, is the planet of restriction. It's the planet of limitations. It's the planet of discipline, the planet of limits, of boundaries. And it makes things a lot harder, okay? But in this particular card, the 3 of Swords, is Saturn in Libra, okay? And it's interesting because Libra is a sign of the scales, right? So to me, Libra is all about fairness. It's about balance. It's about, even, I would say, justice as well. And it's the judge, okay? But because we have Saturn in restriction and restricting that justice, restricting that judge and that balance, it's creating a imbalance in that area. Okay, so definitely this card is Libra emphasizes relationships, of course, but it also brings about that sadness, that sorrow. Okay, and it's connected with the 7th house in astrology, which is the love, romance, marriage, and partnership. It brings about sadness. Okay, the 3 of Swords. And, you know, I feel that in the 3 of Swords, like I said, it's the sphere of Binah, which is wisdom. So even though it's a painful situation that's going to come through, there's some sort of wisdom at the end of it. So there's some wisdom coming through a painful experience. Okay. And traditionally, this card can represent divorce, can represent infidelity and miscarriage, like I said earlier. I want to add some other things before we end. Just wanted to kind of go over it. And it's amazing how it kept coming up. So this card kept coming up for me like every time I would do a reading, it would move through the Celtic cross. So it would come through sometimes crossing in the second position. Sometimes it would come up like in the near future. And it's amazing how it would come through even from different decks. Like I would use different decks and it would come up. It's like amazing. The other thing I want to add with this card is mental anguish and anxiety. That is like so right on with what I lived in the last 4 months with a situation that I had that came through unexpectedly with a property that I own. And it's, it's a rental property, and it's a property that's out of state. So for me, it's very hard, and I have family that are taking care of it, but it was an unexpected damage that happened to the property. It was like a water leak. And so there was so much anxiety that I went through with that problem that this is so highlighted with this card. So anxiety is also a factor of this card. Great anxiety, I would say, and also anguish and torment and struggles. I also want to highlight the Virgin Mary too, okay? Because the Virgin Mary is the Empress energy. That's what we talk about her here. So the energy of the Empress comes through because, of course, number 3 in the major arcana is connected with all the threes in the deck. And so the Virgin Mary is commonly depicted as her heart is exposed and pierced by swords. So when this card comes up, it can also be Mother Mary's energy too, trying to help you with something. And it will be really good if you do believe in the female and the Mother Mary energy or the divine feminine, to work more with that energy if this card tends to come up for you very frequently. Okay. So yeah, it is a card of a lot of it's a very impactful card. I think from the deck, this is one of the most, because there's a couple that I would say are very impactful, but this one is one of the cards that are very impactful to me. The sign is Libra, so also Libra is going to play an important role. Maybe someone in Libra in your family, maybe it could be the sign of Libra that's going to play an important role for you in the year that you're in. So obviously it's going to be September, October. It can also be in kind of like that there's not going to be a reconciliation. There's going to be a separation of some sort. A separation's coming of some sort. And again, it doesn't have to be a romantic partnership. It could be, and it did happen for me, but in a business partnership with my property that I own, I had a separation. The person that was living there had to leave because of the damages that were happening unexpectedly. So there was a separation, and that brought about, obviously some obstacles. I had this card there by mistake. So it's amazing how this card has played a role, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it and the significance of this card and how Kabbalah also ties into it. I like Kabbalah as well. And Kabbalah, the tree of life has different spheres, and each sphere has an angel, and each sphere also has a reason or what's behind it. So this is the sphere of Binah, which is the sphere of wisdom. It's a sphere of wisdom. So a lot of wisdom came through me, and I have learned a lot in this first quarter. And March was a very, very, very tough month for me. So again, we see the number 3 depicted because obviously March is the 3rd month of the year. So a lot of things that tied in together with this card. Hopefully I won't see this card for a long time in my personal readings, but it was amazing how that played a role. So this is my session here for readings, and kind of going into it. If you have any questions about it or comments about how the 3 of Swords has played a role for you, just let me know, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions about it. But yeah, so I will put the link. If you're interested in a personal reading with me, I will put the link below for both of my shops and a great sale that I have going on. And if you're interested in more information about like tarot tarot classes, let me know. I'm kind of interested in doing a class, but like an intro class on the cards, and not just the traditional stuff, because the traditional stuff you can learn it from a book. I mean, you can get a book and read the traditional meanings. It's more of how to apply these cards in your life that I see the magic of. You know, it's like how to maneuver when you see this card, what to expect, what to look at, how to apply it in your life. So I think I'm going to start working on that. And yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. And your comments, I would love to hear your comments about this card. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. Angel blessings.